very ill.
Right. I remember that.
Okay, ready?
So you rolling now?
We're rolling.
She's ready.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
I come from the family of Brother Erich. He is my first cousin. My father met Bilal too under the neem tree over here, which is on the path to Upper Mehrabad, next, very close to the well, and where the my father's name was Homi Satta. He was staying with his father in Ahmednagar place. Akbar. That place was pressing cotton. In olden days, Ahmednagar was very, very famous. We had lovely cotton grain, beach black soil, grains, and we used to get good crops. Anyway, my father's family came to know that Parsi Saint has come to Aranga. Please take a seat. Get a chair. So my uncle, Noshirwan, my father's brother, another younger uncle called Pilu, my father Homi, and their sister Bula. They were young kids at that time. So they walked cross country from Station Road, where there is a ST stand, big old ST stand. From there, all through the fields, and they came home. Mehrabad. Baba was sitting under the tree, and at that time, in 22, Baba was speaking. So he was sitting and singing in the most beautiful voice. My father said that he has never again heard the more beautiful voice in his whole life as Baba's. Anyway, so Baba was sitting under the tree, and when he saw them coming towards him, he asked them, "Oh, where do you come from?" So they said, "We stay in Ahmednagar. Our house is called Akbar Press, and this is Noshirwan, Pilu, Gula, and I am Homi." And Baba said, "Brothers and sisters do you have?" So my father said, "We are 5 brothers and I have 4 sisters." So Baba said, "I am your 6th brother. You and I, we are one." And after that, beloved Baba started coming to our house called Akbar Press. My grandfather was still alive at that time. In olden days, when the people are old, the only thing they do is they sit on the veranda after breakfast or early morning also, and they read Avastha, the prayer book. They just sit and nod like this and keep reading the prayer book. So when my grandfather saw Baba coming from the gate towards the house in white sadra and flowing hair and all that, to his eyes Baba looked like Zoroaster. So grandfather clapped and called his children, "Come here, come here." So all the children from the house, whatever anybody was doing, they came to him. They had already met Baba, which grandfather did not know. So now he is introducing, "Here is Lord Zoroaster, come to our house." And they said, "Papa, we have met him." "Huh? You met him? You didn't tell me also." Anyway, so, and Baba said to him, "I am your 6th son." And they greeted. And Baba started to come to our house like it was his own house. He would even walk straight even to the kitchen. In olden days, we had a very simple life. We didn't even have glass plates, spoons, nothing. We would dish out, and there was no dining table in the house, no chairs. We had small stools. We would take whatever food was needed and we would put those tin plates on our lap and sit and eat food in the kitchen itself. So Baba used to do, he would open the baguna and see which food he would like to eat, but he would take everything on his plate. And he would sit and eat and things carried on. But then my father got a job in Bombay, so one son went to Bombay, the other son went to Bombay, then they got married, all that. But the very nice thing about my father's marriage was he got married to a girl from Nagpur called Piroja Bharucha. She was from Nagpur, and to her house, Tajuddin Baba used to go and sit on the doorstep, which my grandmother did not like. She was a very staunch Zoroastrian woman. She didn't want a Muslim person sitting on her doorstep. She did not know who he was. She thought he was a fakir, and she would say, "Baba, go away, go away." And he cared nothing about what she would say. He would sit as long as he liked to sit. And in due time, there was a big plague epidemic in Nagpur. And my youngest uncle, by the name of Homi Bharucha, had two big plague glands around his neck. And they were treated by, because my other grandfather worked in Nagpur mill. So the mill's doctor would come and treat the families. So that doctor had come in the morning and told my granny that this child won't live by evening. He is very serious. And Nagpur being a very hot place, she selected a cooler place in the house. In those days there were no fans, they were very lower middle class family. So she put a satranji on the floor and a nice clean sheet and made the child rest on that, thinking he is going to die. But she had another 4 sons and a husband to feed, and 2 daughters also. So she went into the kitchen to do the cooking. On that day, Tajuddin Baba did not sit on the steps. My granny was in the kitchen. He walked straight to the child, took him on his lap, and my uncle, just before he died, when he was sick in the hospital, he told me, "Roshan, I want to tell you one story." So I told him, "Tell me." So he said that Tajuddin Baba put his 2 thumbs into his mouth and pressed his tonsils from inside, and the glands burst.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and all the pus and blood started flowing from his ear, nose, mouth. He immediately picked up the child. He was 7 years old. Picked up the child by the leg and just kept patting on his back, pressing the glands so that all that should come out. And child started to cry because it must have hurt him very badly, you see. So mother comes from the kitchen. Why the child is crying? Because when he was made to rest there, he had so high fever that he was nearly unconscious. So granny comes and she sees all that blood and pus splattered on the floor. And Tajuddin Baba now orders her go and get clean clothes and clean sheet and bring some ash from the stove. In those days, people used to cook food on the log fire. So she did as she was told. In the meantime, he was with the child, and he took out whatever was, and then the child felt very relieved because all that had come out. So he either must have become unconscious or fallen into sleep, I don't remember. But he said, then Tajuddin Baba tells the mother to clean everything. He cleans him with the good part of the material and puts nice sheet on the floor, makes the child wear good clothes. But before putting clothes on, he rubs the child with the ashes that my grandmother had brought in a plate, little plate. And then he puts on new clothes for the child and tells Granny, अम्मा आप फिक्र मत करो, बच्चे को कुछ होने वाला नहीं, अभी कुछ होने वाला नहीं. And then he makes the child comfortable on that place and goes away.
And what did that mean that he said? And nothing will happen to the child. Nothing will happen. Don't be afraid.
Because she was told by the doctor, this child is going to die by evening. So now she is relieved and the child is sleeping. So she goes back into the kitchen and does her job. In the afternoon or in the evening, my granny said when the doctor came to see the child, he was resting very happily. Yeah, there was no fever, nothing, and the glands had gone. So the doctor asked, what happened? How did this happen? So then my granny explained to the doctor that such and such thing happened, and Tajuddin, she did not even know his name at that time. But later on, because her child's life was saved, she started giving respect. She didn't believe in him. She just gave respect to him. So
he would still come and sit on.
Yes. But then, you see, in India, most of our olden time, the marriage was arranged marriages. So my mother's and my father's marriage was arranged by somebody, I don't know. And anyway, she came into Baba's fold now. I had 2 other sisters and 1 brother, which all of them had progressive dystrophy, polio. In the beginning it was called polio. And when I was born and I was a little child, we used to stay in Dadar at that time, house called Gulvilla, which was just opposite to the Rajarchandji's family house, Sorab Bharucha house. So my brother and my sisters were very close to Rhoda, Arnavaz, Narkesh. They were young children going to the same school. And so anyway, Baba used to come to that house very often. Now my mother-in-law told me that when I was 9 months old, Baba had come to their house. So she told my mother, let's go and see Baba. My mother used to believe in Baba from the day one. Anyway, so they took me to Baba. And usually Baba always used to open out his hands and take small children on his lap, cuddle them, kiss them, put hand on their head. And then Baba said to my mother that already my sisters and brother had that polio. You need not worry about this child. And soon after after 3-4 years, my mother died. And instead of giving me back to my mother, Baba gave me in the hands of Sam's mother. He had it in mind when I was just 9 months old. Anyway,
That's sweet.
anyway, then my mother and my aunt went to the house and the life carried on. And then when Baba's mother died, Guy Mai told me that my mother and my aunt, who also died, had gone to Pune for Shirin Mai's funeral, and they were in Bindra House. And Baba used to come to Bindra House, Erich's parental house in Pune, and he told them that they were all standing in one room in Bindra House. And Baba said, in very early future, there are still 2 more people are going to come to me. He always said about the death that they all come to me. So nobody knew that Gula auntie of mine, who had heard Baba speak, at that time she had severe arthritis fever, or I don't know, some very virus fever. So they all thought that she is going to die. But instead of that, she got better, and these 2 young ones died in Bombay, somehow. Then we all moved to Akbar Press in 1942 with all the 3-4 truckloads of furniture of all the 3 families, and was put into Akbar Press because it had a huge bungalow and then little cottage-like things. So anyway, we all children were growing up together. And I used to go to Marathi school where my uncle had orphan children brought over from different villages. And he would keep them, he would feed them, clothe them, and he would send them to Marathi medium school. There were no tables and chairs in the school in olden days. There was no tiles in the school. It was cow dung flooring. And we had small pieces of gunny bag put on the floor, and we would all sit on that. And no exercise book, no books in the beginning. We used to only have slate and that marble-like pen with which we used to write. And there used to be a small piece of wet cloth which was passed to each other. If we had to rub out anything, we would rub it out with that old wet cloth. So life was going on. And as I told you, Baba had come to our house and he fed 40 children, he clothed them. And then, I don't know who took the picture, but I didn't first go with the children. I thought they were only meant for the orphan children. So I was standing and watching the children being arranged to take a picture. So Baba called me, come here. And I went, and Baba made me stand next to him. And the picture was taken. There was another very loving family whose father used to work for my uncle's orphan children's school. He used to take care of children's food is prepared properly, they sleep nicely, things like that. He was very wealthy person, so he never used to take any money from my uncle. He was like a friend to my uncle. And my uncle Noshirwan, in the later life, was also a freedom fighter. So he used to go away into jail with Gandhiji and Nehru and Morarji Desai and all that. So that person, whose son is now a leading brain specialist in Pune. But he doesn't come to Baba. Many a times I tell him, Baba even saved that child's life when he had become a doctor and he was working in Sassoon Hospital, as they have to work for 1 year, 2 years apprenticeship in the hospital. He loved some very scheduled class nurse. He wanted to get married to her and the parents refused. So he took a lot of sleeping tablets and tried to suicide. His friends, it was his duty time, he didn't come out of the room, so they broke open the door and they found him with the bottle of sleeping tablets in his hand. And he was unconscious for 7 days. Because he was a doctor, he was in the hospital, they did all that they could do to revive that doctor. So anyway, so the news came, and at that time Baba was in Guru Prasad. And the news came to Bindra House, and then it would go to Baba naturally. My father was very, very loving and pious person. He went to Baba's picture and prayed, "Oh Baba, please don't let this child die. Take care of him and make him come back to life by Thursday." So it must have been Monday, and my father said, "Make him well by Thursday." So he was unconscious till Thursday. And when he came to life again, and the child got better, and we all went to Guru Prasad, Baba said to my father, "See, Homi said that I must make him well by Thursday. So I had to wait. Otherwise I would have made him all right on that day only." You know, he is my brother, so I must listen to my brother. Baba jokingly said that, but then he got well, and then he left that woman's thought, and they were Brahmin. So the parents did not want that son of theirs to marry a scheduled class woman. So that is why they refused. Anyway, Baba said, "What? After coming to me, you still think about the caste and this thing and that thing. All are same. All are my children. Don't think ever like that." But anyway, that matter got finished. Then he studied further and further and further. He's a very nice person. But the only drawback is he doesn't come to Baba. Many a times I tell him, his name is Ullas Luktuke. I tell him, "Ullas," because we were school children going to the same school. I'm very frank with him. I tell him, as long as things are going right for you, you don't come to Baba. But don't forget, you are alive today because of Baba. Every time I meet him, I tell him this sentence. Today what you are, otherwise you would have gone long back. Anyway, so that got over. Baba used to come to our house very often. He at that time, in the beginning, there was no Mehrab Zad. It was only Mehrabat,
where Baba stayed on the upper hill with the ladies, and there was trust office where Baba would go to Abyssinia for Baba's pamphlets to be printed and letters and things. For Baba's work, he would go back and forth. In those days, Ahmednagar had only 6 to 7 cars only. Only. All that was there was tongas and bullock carts. Even we used to set our clock as we heard the tonga and the bullock carts coming from the station. And there used to be only 2 trains coming to Ahmednagar. One early in the morning at 8 o'clock and one at 8 o'clock at night in the evening. Other than that, there was so little traffic. All this cement jungle that you see now on the way was not there. They were just fields and fields of cotton. Fields and fields of cotton. Anyway, Baba has changed the whole thing. And Baba, when he came from Mehrabad to trust office, he would say, tell your aunt at such and such time I am coming back. Keep food ready for me. He would eat very little, but he would come home, he would come in the house. If I was at home, I would help Baba to come into the house, means welcome him, take him to the place to wash his hands. Before eating food, he would always wash his hands. So as a child, and there used to be shortage of water all our life in Ahmednagar. We used to get only 1 or 2 hours of municipal water throughout the day. And that would be only stored for cooking and drinking. Other than that, we had a huge well which is still there. The uncles had made connection with the well to the tank, and it used to be pumped. There was no proper electricity, so the pump was made, you have to hand pump. So we had to do exercise with that pump. And we used to have little water, but we used to use water very sparingly. There was a bucket always kept near the basin and an enamel mug to take the water. So one day Baba was washing his hands and I was pouring water, but you know how little children's mind fly away somewhere. I was not giving proper attention to what I was doing there. Baba wanted to put on soap, then I must stop. But I didn't stop. I was just pouring, my mind wavering somewhere else. So Baba caught my head and said, where are you? And I said, sorry Baba, I'm right here before you, Baba. So, no, what are you thinking? I said, nothing Baba, I don't know. So, okay, stop. Then I had a soap dish. Family used to use ordinary soap. In those days it was called sunlight soap to wash our hands. But when Baba wanted to wash, everybody wanted their bath soap to be offered to Baba. So I was holding one of somebody's bath soap and Baba took it, applied, and then I started pouring water. Baba finished, I gave him a towel to wipe his hand. And by that time, one of my eldest uncle had come from Singapore, Hong Kong. One of my eldest uncle had been to Hong Kong for 10, 12 years. Now he had become a rich person there. So he came to see his family and the Second World War broke. He could not go back. He went up to Calcutta and there was bombing done in China, so he didn't go back to that place, back to work. He came back home. But since he had made good money, he brought the whole family plenty of Chinese silk clothes and saris and garas, and he got now a dining table made in the house. And Baba then started using that dining table, which was a nice big table, and a small glass sink was fitted, and we could use that. And so Baba finished washing his hand, and I pulled out the chair for Baba to sit down. He made us sit. I went into the kitchen and got food, put it in front of him, and he started eating, but he told me to stand next to him. And then he explained to me, you know how much trouble I have to take to make that water? By gestures. But if we looked into Baba's face, Baba's eyes used to speak to our heart. There was nobody there to tell me what Baba wanted to listen. He tells me, I have to heat up 7 seas and take the water from the sea into the sky and make it into clouds. Then I have to heat up all the wells, the rivers, lakes, and I have to make it happen. And then, I have to take so much of trouble to push those clouds and take them to the various places and bring them down. I said, Haji Baba. I always said to Baba, yes, in Gujarati, Haji Baba. So he tells me, I have made this water for all of us to use, but never waste it. You see, your mind went away somewhere and you were pouring out on my hand without thinking. That's not good. You must always think when you use it that God has to take so much trouble to make this water. I said, Haji Baba, I'll never do it again. And then he laughed. He gave me a cuddle, and then he ate. He would always take more food on his plate, but eat very little. And then whatever was left in the plate, the whole household would have little as a prasad. Because from our very childhood, in our eyes, there were a lot of Zoroastrian, Zardoz Sahib's picture in the house, Baba's picture in the house, 5 perfect masters' picture in the house. But Baba was the image of God to us. And it was a practice in the house that every day in the morning before we went to school, the whole family would stand in that prayer room and say his prayers. Just before we went to bed, we would be all gathered there and we would all say the prayers. And when Baba would come, he would always visit that room and watch. His mother's picture was there, Baba's mother, Shirin Mai, dressed up like an Indian lady in the sari. And all that was there. All the departed, my mother, my aunt's husband, my other aunt, their pictures were little kept in corners. And life was going on and on and on. Now in 1942, my first meeting that I don't yet remember my mother's face. But I do remember that I met beloved Baba in 1942 in the Rauri cabin, where Baba was sitting on a big mattress with a long round pillow behind his back, and there was a life-size his picture kept next to him. So we came in our own tonga from our house, and I went straight into Baba's hand. I used to wear chappal in those days. I removed my chappals, and my uncles and father and all came in later on. So Baba took me on his lap, and when my father entered the room, Baba tells him that, "Homie, I am going to take care of this child. You need not think that something will happen to her. But I order you never to take her to any doctors, never to take her to any shrines or any saints. She will be always kept in my orders. Wherever I go, I tell you to send her, you must send her. And I will visit our house very frequently." And Baba did that. Baba's car was driven in those days sometimes by Erich or sometimes by Adi Senior. And they would honk from far because there was no much traffic. We always knew the sound of the car's horn. And we would all rush to the gate to meet Baba. Baba would sometimes roll down the car window and he would do like this or put his hand on our head, and he would say, "I'm coming back at such and such time," which Adi or Erich would tell us. And then Baba would go, finish his work and come. Again then the car would come from the big gate to the house.
Can I just take them to the Samadhi? I have to teach them.
Yes, please.
Otherwise, they won't have a chance of sitting inside. So, will you excuse us?
Yes,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. And now to listen more stories, you have to come often to.
Yes.
We will, Merhaba.
We certainly will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Yes. You, huh, darling?
for you.
No, thank you. I don't need that water. I drink only my water. Where is my water bottle?
Is this it?
No, I have a small bag hooked up somewhere. Yes, that is my water. Thank you. Yes.
Is it convenient or does it fit in with your story to tell the story about the song which Baba said that he composed, this morning?
Yeah, I will
yeah.
tell you.
Thank you.
Jai Baba. Kale chau ke chalia.
Going back.
So, it kept on happening, things kept on happening. Then Baba told my father, and then it was lunch time. So then Baba told my uncle and my father to have lunch with Padri and Pendu at the lower Mehrabad. That time Mehrabad was not so much developed. There was just that Baba's hall and one or two cottages and Rahuri cabin. That's all that was there. Everything was barren. There were no trees, nothing. Anyway, so Baba tells them, "You have your lunch with Padri and Pendu. I'm taking her up the hill because Erich's mother Gaimai, Erich's sister Meru, Manpur, other aunt of mine were staying with beloved Baba up the hill." So Baba said, "Let's go." So I started walking with Baba. I was a little child, very weak and thin. I just couldn't cope with Baba. He was walking fast, and however much I would try to catch up with him, I just couldn't. By the time we reached the railway tracks, I was panting. And when I saw the hill, to my child's eye, the hill looked like a huge mountain to me. And I said, Baba, nowhere I can climb that mountain. It is beyond my strength to climb the mountain. He just nodded, he caught hold of me. We went across the railway tracks, and then Baba sat down. And he said to get on his shoulders. So I got on his shoulders. He put my hands on his head for me to catch. But he said, if I see somebody up the hill, I must immediately get down. I must not let them see that he is carrying me. So we climbed, and I saw a very fat lady sitting near the cabin that is near the gate. There is a cabin near the Upper Mehrabad gate where ladies used to sit to keep watch when Baba is coming up. So they can go and tell in the kitchen that Baba is coming, so they would prepare Baba's tray, lunch tray, to be taken to his room. So anyway, Carmen Masi was sitting there on a cane chair. And she got up and she went and told Mehra and Mani, have you seen Baba's room there up on the Mehrabad hill? Yeah. She went and said to them that Baba is arriving. So then Kitty was there. So she must have been sent to tell Gaimai to send the tray for his food. Anyway, when I went there, Kitty was again back at the door of his room. So Baba took me inside to Mehra and Mani. They all greeted me and they all pleaded to Baba, Baba, don't let this child have what her brother and sister are having. Baba said, I have promised her father that I am going to take care of her. Nothing is going to happen. So Baba did that, you see. So much so that he arranged my marriage with Sam. I had not met Sam for many, many years. Otherwise, as children, they would always come to Akbar Press to spend their summer vacation. Because in those days, people didn't go to hill stations to spend their vacation because they could not afford it. So they would go to their parental house and all the cousins would get together and they would play and enjoy. When the time was for the school to reopen, they would go back where they belonged. So anyway, we were like brothers and sisters as children when we grew up. And I had always in my mind that I will never get married. Because when I used to go to the school doctors, they had always put it in my little head that I should never get married. Otherwise, I will have crippled children born to me. But anyway, I had no intention of getting married or anything. So, Baba in 1954, when Sam had come on leave from the ship, he joined the ship in 1950. And then for the first time he came on vacation from the ship in 1954. And Baba had called him to Satara to go and see him because he had not met Baba for many years. So he was told to stay with him for 20 days. So he was there, and Baba said to Sam that I want you to marry Roshan. Then Sam also, like a wise man, said, Baba, but we are first cousins. They say it shouldn't be married like that. Baba said, I am God. I am telling you to marry her. You don't have to worry. Throw away that thought from your head. And Eris said, but Baba, Roshan is not even 16. I was very young. And Sam was also very young. Baba, what is the hurry? Next time when Sam comes, you can say that get married. So Baba fixed that next time when Sam comes back on the leave, we should get married. So in 1957, Sam came back from the ship, and it was, I think, towards the end of the year, and we went to see Baba at Baba had come to Bindra house, and Baba said, I want you to get married. And I said, yes, Baba, whatever you say is okay with me. And Baba set the date 21st of March 1958, and we got married. Baba said, I'm going to come 10 days before the wedding. And Baba did come, but he stayed in Botanical Gardens where Dadi was a superintendent. In the early years, as long as Dadi was a superintendent of Botanical Garden, Pune, Baba used to come and stay in his bungalow. Later on, he went to America to do his PhD, so we did not have the bungalow. So then onwards, Baba stayed in Guru Prasad. Anyway, so Baba came, we went to see Baba, and everything went out very smoothly. Then Baba asked Sam, where are you going to take Roshan for honeymoon? So Sam says, Baba, I'm going to take Roshan to Delhi to see Taj Mahal. Baba puts his hand on his forehead and says, you go half the way around the world and you still don't know where Taj Mahal is. Eraj, tell him where Taj Mahal is. So then Eraj says, Baba, he has never been traveling in India. He has not done it. So he doesn't know. So then Eraj says, Sam, Taj Mahal is not in Delhi, but it is in Agra. Okay, then we'll go to Agra, Baba. So we went to Agra. Baba said, take her on a full moon day. First take her during the morning time, and then take her during the night time. Show her both ways. So we went and saw Taj Mahal twice. But unfortunately, there was a Baba lover who was working in government as a big, I don't know what he was working as, but he had a big bungalow there in New Delhi. And he offered us to have at his house. So we went there. But I tell you, they were very loving. But the food that was served was always in a saucer. And at that time, being young, I had a big appetite, I tell you. Sam and I, we were good eaters. The food was served in small plates, and we were 4 people. Their husband and wife, and we too. And we would look at each other's face. The food was cooked so little. And then, oh, eat. They would go on telling us. I had to say to myself, if I eat, I can finish all these 4 plates in one go. And would leave nobody nothing. Anyway, then we met a Baba lover called Keki Guy. And they were also newly married. So Sam said, Keki, we have no privacy whatsoever. This man, he used to walk with us. If we wanted to go to see any place, he would be like a bodyguard with us. So we had no privacy whatsoever. And then Keki had a new flat. Company had given it to him, so he had more room and everything was nice. So he told Mr. Ken, if you don't mind, I want to take them to my house. And I was so happy. I packed up everything quickly and off we went with Keki to his house. And now we were like a free bird. We can go. He wouldn't even let us have a glass of cold drink if we went out. And Delhi is very hot in summer. March, April is very, very hot. He wouldn't let us eat anything outside. No, you mustn't eat. We'll go home and eat. And we would see nice pakoras in the shop, nice food in the shop, and he wouldn't let us do anything to ourselves. So when we went to Keki's house, oh, we had a gala time. And then Baba said to Sam, since you are going for a honeymoon, take her to Kashmir, 20 days. So then after our marriage, Sam went to Bombay and arranged with the travel agents to go to Kashmir. And Baba said, have you flown any time? I said, no, Baba, I have never sat in a plane or anything. And those days there were small Dakota planes. Only 10 or 12 people could sit in that. Very noisy. Very rough also if the weather was not good. Anyway, but I was happy I was going to sit in an airplane. So we went to Kashmir. When we went to Kashmir, it was little drizzles were there. And we stayed for 20 days. All the 20 days were bright sunshine. We went all over Kashmir, now which is all destroyed. We had a gala time. Every evening, morning we would go away by 7:30, 8 o'clock. They would arrange everywhere to go. The hotels had arranged everything. They would give us a huge hamper with all food, and we would take that and we would go. Sometimes we would go in those shikaras in the lake, sometimes we would go into the mountains. We had a gala time, and every night we would go and have our dinner in the big, like this dining hall, huge dining hall. And the waiters would say, "Oh, Saab, you are so lucky. Never in our whole life we have seen so beautiful weather." Sam, we heard for 2-3 days, and then Sam tells them, "Do you know?" He could not explain to them about Baba, but in our hearts we knew the orders were from Baba to go and enjoy in Kashmir. And our vacation got over. We went back to Delhi to come to Pune. But Baba said, "You must be back before I fly for USA. You come and, both of you come and see us at the airport in Bombay." And in those days, there were no restrictions to go to the airport. We were nearly 150 people who went to the airport to see Baba go to America in 1958. So everybody was Baba greeted before leaving. So it was my turn, and Baba puts his hand on my belly and says, "Are you pregnant?" I said, "No, Baba." Sam and I am now talking to Baba in his ear so that nobody around could hear me. I said, "Baba, we have decided not to have children for first 5 years. Baba is saying, "Are you mad?" There are so many souls I have promised I will bring them into this world. Forget from tonight, do nothing. And you better be pregnant before I come back from America. pressure. He's telling me there are so many souls waiting to come into this world. In this very incarnation, I have given them promise that I will bring them back into this world. So anyway, we stopped what we were doing and I got pregnant. The first thing when Baba came back from America, and he always used to come to Bindra house before he came to Nagar. So the very first question Baba put me is, am I pregnant? I said, Baba, I think so, I am pregnant. And then he was very happy. And then, you see, in our Zoroastrian religion, when we are going to have a baby, on the 7th month, when we are pregnant, 7 months pregnancy, the mother gives new clothes to the daughter, some jewelry, and we have to dress up nicely, and then we open our sari pallu in front of our mother, and she puts all kinds of grain and coconut and fresh fruits and things, means like a prosperity for the child. So Baba said to Gaimai, you know, I'm going to do her Hagani, I'm going to come myself. So Baba came and sat on a nice couch. The couch that is at Mehrazad, you see where Manu sits, under that is next to easy chair, that couch is from Bindra house. Baba always sat on that.
Which chair is that, Mangarshan?
Next to where Pender would sit.
Oh, where
There's a bench,
where Manu
two,
was
three,
sitting.
Manu,
Yeah.
Manpur
Manu
sits
will
there.
sit there, yeah.
So, and everything was kept in a nice silver plate. Baba gave me new clothes to wear. By the way, at that time, I was a very, very simple, shy girl. So Baba tells Rano that you must go with, Rano was staying with us in Bindra house. Baba told her that when she has to select the sari, you must go with her and select a nice sari for her. Then the dress was sari and blouse and petticoat and all that was selected. And Baba came, Baba gave me the clothes to wear. And I went and got dressed, and then Baba said, come here. And he put all those things and he said, I am your mother and your all, and I am going to do the ceremony for you. So he put all those things in my sari pallu which I had kept open. And then he told me to go from the one door and come back from the other door. So I did that, and then I bowed down at beloved Baba's feet. And Baba took out 1 silver rupee and gave it to me. And he said, when you start having pains, you must tie this rupee in a handkerchief and keep it with you. And Baba told the whole family, as soon as she starts having pain, you all must repeat my name 24 hours of the day. And he told me also to repeat his name all the time till I deliver the baby. And Gaimai was told to be with me at the time of the delivery. So she was there, and I was going on, Baba, Baba, Baba. The nurse is telling me when the child was born, oh, it's not a Baba, it is a baby, because I delivered a girl. Anyway, and then the telegram was sent to Baba that I have got a daughter. And Baba said, give her a name, Mehra, baby Mehra. So then she was called baby Mehra. When she was 20 days old, Baba had come for his summer vacation to Pune. That year Baba came earlier than always and stayed in Guru Prasad. And Baba had come to see me because in India, when we deliver a child, we are not supposed to go out of the house for 40 days. For the first 40 days, the mother has to stay in the house with the baby. But then Baba came to see me at Bindra house and the baby. And then every day Baba would come to Bindra house in the afternoon. 2-3 carloads of people. And I would put the baby on the dining table and he would play. And we were told to make limbu pani, means lemon and sugar water sharbat, because it was summertime for everybody to have. And we would have glasses kept ready and we make a big baguna of that, and Baba would take a mug and put, everybody would walk from the front and Baba would give them sharbat or buttermilk, whatever was prepared for that day. And Baba would sit and play with the baby. So in the end, Francis Brabazon said to Baba, "Baba, I feel like dying right now so that I can be reborn and you can play with me. I'm very jealous of this Barbie." And Baba said, no, you are not going to die soon. You have to do lot of work in Australia. It's not time for you to die. Too funny. That's too funny. Jai Baba. Jai Baba. What a wonderful story. Everybody has to go for Aarti. Jai Baba ki Jai. Thank you, Baba. Thank you.
Another time you will tell the story about Zoroaster's song, eh?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you
but I
very
forgot to eat mine. I have to take. Come on, take it with you. Come on, everybody, help. That was too good.
It was a wonderful
Which is too good. Yes. I am going to tell story again on Wednesday.
Now, you know, he's taped it. Do you mind if I use some of that and put it in the newsletter? Is that okay?
Do what you like.
Thank you.
I have no restrictions.
Okay. What is that all right?
I am not that an important person.
Never mind. But good. Thank you.
Remind me, I will tell you about the song.
I'll keep on reminding you until I hear it.
I will even give you the translation of that song in English, which Baba has.
I would love to learn it. Rani and I were talking about it this morning.
Jai Baba. Oops. There's a camera, you can't get up. Wait.
How,
I will bring that picture on Wednesday for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
was it in the early days that Baba told you about the song in Zoroaster or much later?
When Baba was staying in Satara, that song, I don't know how, but Kohyar Satara Wala was made to sing in front of Baba.
We're going up to stay with Shiraz and family, so maybe he can teach me as well. No?
But unfortunately, those children are not that close to Baba. They are, I don't know for which reason, they don't come very often.
But Baba did say when he was Zoroaster, he wrote that song.
It is the essence of our whole Zoroastrian prayer book, called Avastha. And the prayer that is printed in the book is called Khorshed Niyayas.
And Zoroaster, when he was Avatar, his country,
Iranian people.
Iranian.
and where is he supposed to be buried? No one knows?
No.
We heard another tidbit the other day, that when Abraham came as minor incarnation, that many of the Zoroastrians thought he was Zoroaster, because he looked so much like him. So one half thought he was Zoroaster and took him as such, and one half saw him and knew that he was Abraham. And so he had a very big following very quickly because of that.
Did that come from Barbara, that story? Or?
Where did we hear that? Just the other day. We heard it somewhere here just the other day from Nauru or something.
Oh, that's interesting. I've been trying to, well, not trying to, but I've often wondered this thing, because Francis in Stay With God mentions Abraham.
Yeah.
And yet Abraham is not mentioned by Barbara as any of the previous Advents.
The minor incarnation. Barbara didn't mention his minor incarnation.
So, yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think of that one.
In Judy's book, it says that also Albert was a minor incarnation.
Yes,
Right, yeah.
yes,
So, he
yes.
doesn't mention his minor incarnations.
When I heard that in London, I was so stunned I just couldn't think straight.
Victoria's husband
Oh,
was a minor incarnation.
Look, she's going through the same reaction that I had. I just couldn't, I thought, what? I'm passing out.
A young
can somebody put this
I
on? I only know the video, but I love him in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
He
can
had
you
a
put
very
this
short
off?
life. He had 21 children and all, his life was quite short. And then Victoria had been in love with Brown.
Can you put
And
this-
promised her that he would come back